So let's start with Sonic 1. Now, I do have respect for the very first game, but I want to put it in B tier because, like many things, it's a very, it's the first of its kind, really. There was Green Hill and Starlight Zone, which were good. There was Marble Hill Zone and Springyard Zone, which I thought were okay at best. But then you have Labyrinth Zone and Scrap Brain Zone, which are just abysmal to go through. But overall, I still respect this title. I like to go back to it every once in a while. But I think it's a solid B tier at best. Next, we have the actual Sonic 2. I want to say this is a solid A tier at best. Literally almost no bad zone in this game or a dull moment, except for like the very last one, Metropolis, where it's got like just, in my opinion, kind of pretty bad enemy placement. There's 3 acts. You got the little starfish. You got the little starfish badniks that are in the walls and they spew out spikes when they explode. But yeah, also the special stage. I forgot to mention the special stages in Sonic 1 as well. They're not fun either. You're like, it's basically like trying to control a pinball in like a maze or something like that. Then with Sonic 2, you have the half pipe. And nobody likes the half pipe. It's janky as shit to control. Especially when you also like play it where you're playing as Sonic and Tails. You pretty much have to control Sonic and Tails at the same time in the half pipe. And it's like there's a delay on when Tails is gonna move, basically. But for the most part, this is always really fun to go back to. Now, next up, we have CD, and I think this is pretty much C tier at best. I don't really like it because the level design is more catered to exploring the level rather than trying to go fast in it from left to right. Also, some of the stuff to get like the good ending in the game, you have to like destroy time monitors. But to do that, you have to somehow try and travel to the past. I I really don't get it. I never cared for the time travel mechanic. It always just confused the shit out of me. And then there's also collecting the time stones, which I don't care to do because the same process of collecting the time stones is the same process as collecting the Chaos Emeralds in Sonic 1. It's not fun to me. I don't think it's a bad game overall. I think it's just my own preference that doesn't like it, which is why I don't want to put it in D tier because I don't think it's a bad game. Honestly, I just think it's a bit of a dumbed down version of Sonic 1, basically. My opinion on Sonic 3 is that this is a solid S tier game. In my opinion, there's almost never a single dull moment in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. There's a couple hit or miss zones in there. I'll admit Sandopolis is a bit of a doozy. It's very long, it's tedious, and just not very fun to play through. But what I really like about it is just the process of getting the Chaos Emeralds is a lot more fun with the Blue Sphere levels. Oh yeah, being able to play as Tails and Knuckles, and also be able to gather the Chaos Emeralds and get their super forms as well. Oh yeah, this also gave us this isn't just give us the chance to transform into Super Sonic, but also the chance to transform into Hypersonic, because you could collect the Chaos Emeralds and the Super Emeralds, and it was cool. It was really cool. I have nothing else really to say about it. And I just think this is a solid S tier game. Alright, now Sonic Labyrinth. I did play this one, but I didn't play it on the Game Gear. When I had a 3DS, there was a version of this game on it. And I want to say this is also a C tier game because a lot of people say it's like one of the worst Sonic games, but I disagree. It's not that bad. But in this game, it's like a puzzle game of sorts where you're just walking around the room looking for 3 keys to go to the next level. You're solving puzzles as you're doing it. I don't remember too much about it, but I just remember like I did enjoy it as like a good time killer. What's next? Oh, Sonic Adventure. Easy. S tier. Well actually no. You know what? You know what? No. Not S tier. I'm gonna say it's A tier actually. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna say that. I'm comfortable with saying that. The reason I want to put Adventure in S tier because, or not S tier, A tier, is because the game overall is like really fun. Like playing as Sonic is fun, going through all the levels, and just the adventure style gameplay is fun. With Tails, flying around the levels is fun. With Knuckles, his deal is treasure hunting, but it's a lot better in adventure and a lot more fun. It's a lot shorter too. The treasure hunting stages in this game are a lot more shorter, and that's kind of a problem I have with Adventure 2, which I'll get into in just a minute once we get to it. Yeah, some of the things that hold me back from this, though, are when you play as Amy, because she's just like a really dumb, really dumbed down version of Sonic in every which way. It's like playing on hard mode, but not a fun hard mode. Then there's Big, that's literally just fishing, and it's not really fun or bad either. It's just boring to me. It's just really boring to me. And then there's Omega. Wait, what's his name? Omega? No, his name wasn't Omega. His name was Gamma. Yeah, then there's Gamma. That is just. I think it's literally just like the equivalent of mech shooting in Adventure 2, which was alright, but it's not. It wasn't fun. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that Adventure 1 is A tier at best. Next up is Adventure 2, and I know some Sonic fans want me to put this in either this tier or this tier, but I can't do either of that. Instead, I'm gonna put Adventure 2 in B tier. The reason I say that is because I enjoy Sonic and Shadow's stages. Then there's the mech shooting with Tails and Eggman, where you're just sitting in a robot and you're just pressing the fire button over and over and over again on just whatever random enemies pop up in your way. To me, that wasn't fun. It was just repetitive as it went on and on and on. And then the treasure hunting stages. I don't enjoy the treasure hunting stages in Adventure 2 at all. Some of the stages get way too big and way too open. The radar is messed up to where you have to find one piece at a time, where in Adventure 1, you could find all the treasures at the same time, but in Adventure 2, it's one at a time. You could be next to one that you could just grab right there, but because it's not the first one you're supposed to be getting, you can't get it. They give you hints on where like the treasure pieces are and stuff, but the hints are so vague. It's like you can't even really figure out what they're telling you. And then later on in some of the later stages, when they give you hints, the hints are either backwards or scrambled or something. It's just like, oh my lord, do you want me to find these Emerald Shards or not? B tier is the best I can do for this game. I do like it, but I will not say it's my favorite 3D Sonic game. Not by a long shot. Next is Sonic Advance 1. I think this game is alright. I'm gonna say this... Wait, no. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna say this game is just alright. I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's kind of like just like what... Oh, whoops. It's kind of like just what Sonic 1 is. It's the first of its... It was like the first of its kind on the Game Boy Advance. It was fun. Most of the stages were fun. Then it dims, then it just goes down in quality with that very final zone, where there's just bottomless pits everywhere. The enemy placement is horrible. Then the final boss is not fun. Getting the Chaos Emeralds is a chore. But I go back to this one every once in a while too, just as much as I would Sonic 1. Yeah, I think this is a solid B tier game. Advance 2, C tier. Okay, here's my reasoning. Advance 2 has so many bottomless pits after just the first few zones. Literally after the first few zones, it's bottomless pit after bottomless pit after bottomless pit. Dude. The amount of footage I had for Advance 2 alone was over 5 hours worth of footage. And literally, like, I think two of those hours were literally on just one zone in particular, because I kept falling in almost every single bottomless pit in that level. And I get the whole point of Advance 2 is it's supposed to be really fast, unlike Advance 1. Advance 1 plays like the Genesis games, but Advance 2 caters to more speedy gameplay, and I get that, but oh, it was just so frustrating. Good lord. I hated it. I hated it for most of the ride. But I don't think it's a bad game either. I think it's just not my cup of tea, just like how I feel about CD. So yeah, C tier is where I'm gonna put Advance 2. Sonic Rush. Okay, I'm gonna say Rush is B tier. And I'm not letting my nostalgia blind blind me, okay? Because Sonic Rush, this was my very first Sonic game. This was on the DS, and I was so excited when I got it that one Christmas as like a little kid. But when I look at it now critically, I want to say it's just B tier at best, because basically, you know, you're going through the entire story twice as Sonic, but then also as Blaze the Cat. This game also has its fair share of problems with the bottomless pits issue. Getting the Chaos Emeralds is a lot easier. I mean, it's basically the half pipe again, but you can guide Sonic on the bottom touchpad with like the stylus or something, and it's a lot easier that way. So I can't say it's like as bad, but this is not one I would go back to very often, honestly. But I do think it is a quality DS title as a Sonic game. Yeah, I feel solid putting this in just B tier. Sonic 06. Oh my lord. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna say this is also a C tier game. 06 to me is C tier because I do enjoy Sonic's levels for the most part, most of his levels. I could say the same about Shadows because he plays pretty much almost exactly like Sonic. But then Shadows levels also have like the random vehicle sections and are just not fun to control. And Silver's levels are just not fun at all to begin with for me, like at all. Exploring the little hub worlds they have in this game is not very fun because like sometimes you don't even know where to go, and the game doesn't even tell you where to go, and your radar isn't much help either. The cutscenes look weird to me. The story is nothing special to me. I don't care too much about it, but it's just not entertaining either. Yeah, I mean, once I played it, I see why everyone always just called it one of the worst Sonic games ever. It definitely felt like it, but with that being said, because I did enjoy Sonic's levels for the most part, I want to say yeah, it's a C tier at best. If it weren't for Sonic's levels being alright, then this would immediately be a D tier, like no question. What is next? Sonic Rivals. I did play this one, and it's another one that I also want to just say is B tier at best. This was also another race game that they had Sonic and everyone else race on foot. It was on the PlayStation Portable or PSP, and it's alright, honestly, but I don't care too much about it. You know what? I'm actually gonna put it in C tier. Yeah, because I don't really go back to this one at all. In fact, all of these I pretty much almost never go back to. I do every once in a while, but almost never. And the same can be said for this one. It's alright, but nothing I feel like you should go out and play, honestly. Yeah, I feel comfortable saying that. What's next? Oh my god, Secret Rings. Oh my... nope. D tier. D tier immediately. D tier! Okay, I hated this when I played through it. I absolutely hated it. This was the first Sonic game on the Wii, I think. No. Yes. No, wait, yes. Yes, it was. It's the first Sonic game on the Wii. And if you ever played Sonic Dash on the mobile phones, if not on your mobile phone, if not, basically what Sonic Dash was, it was a Temple Run clone. And that's what Sonic in the Secret Rings basically was on home console. It was just like Temple Run, but you had to guide him with the Wiimote using like motion controls and all that stuff. You had to do this just to make him jump, and then do that to make him homing attack. Everything was just motion controls. The story is okay, but not enough for me to justify it to put it in C tier. This is D tier at best, and I'm glad when they made a second storybook game that they improved it a little bit. Next up is Zero Gravity. I want to say this is also a C tier game because I did like it, but it's kind of the same situation with like Rivals here. Like it's an okay racing game, but overall it's not the most fun, honestly, and I don't really go back, and I never really went back to it when we had a Wii. But I mean, I liked it. It was okay. Story's alright. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this one either. Alright, what's next? Sonic Unleashed. Okay. This, in my opinion, is a solid A tier game. I really love this was the start of like the boost formula. and I really love the daytime stages. Playing as Modern Sonic, it's as fast. It's really fast. There's so many obstacles coming in your, excuse me, so many obstacles coming in your way, and I know some people don't like that because it's kind of like a little too hard for them. But for some reason, I just really like that challenge for some reason, and like, I mean, getting the S rings on here is very strict with the daytime stages, but it's still so much fun to me. It's just like, it's a rush. Sonic Rush, am I right? Anyways, the Werehog stages I did like as well. The combat, in my opinion, was pretty fun, but I will admit some of the stuff about it does annoy me, like every other person on the internet that talks about Sonic Unleashed. The Werehog stages, they're a little too long. They can get boring after a while. The combat can get repetitive, and I feel like that's more to blame on like the enemy variety, because there almost really isn't any enemy variety. After you play like the first 2 or 3 nighttime stages, I think you pretty much have fought against all the enemies that Unleashed has to offer, and yeah, they just increase the amount of enemies that you fight instead of increasing the variety of enemies that you fight in Sonic Unleashed. But for the most part, I still really liked it. I like the story and everything. And yeah, I currently don't have this game anymore, but whenever I could, I always went back to it whenever I just had a good craving for it. Sonic and the Black Knight. Okay, this one I don't hate. This one I don't really hate at all, but it's also gonna have to be a C tier for me. They improved on this one compared to Secret Rings because they didn't make it play like Sonic Dash again. They allowed you to just control Sonic the way you wanted to. You can go backwards, you can go forwards by controlling him with the control stick. But the sword mechanics were still pretty annoying. You kind of had to swing. You had to swing the Wii remote in order to swing the sword. It wasn't that fun, but I still liked it, and the story was pretty good too. You know, Sonic's starting off as like a cocky ass motherfucker at the start. Then, you know, he starts to be more noble and act more like an actual knight by the end of it. Yeah, I did enjoy the story. Gameplay is alright. It's cool that you can also play as Knuckles, Shadow, and Blaze in this as well. They don't really play as well as Sonic, in my opinion, but they were still fun to play as. It was still cool. It was a nice touch. Oh yeah, I forgot. These two also had party games as well. This had party games in it. They weren't fun, but it had them. This also had party games, which were also not fun, but they were there. Yeah, I think with just like the small touches they did with Black Knight that improved it over Secret Rings, it's a solid C tier in my opinion. Yeah, I feel good about where it is right now. Okay, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. I want to say this is a B tier. Honestly, it is a really fun racing game. I remember when we had that on PS3, we did have a lot of fun with it. I have it on Steam right now, and I played it the other day, and it's still pretty fun to this day. It is kind of like a little bit outdated. It's kind of standard as any go-kart racer really goes, but for the most part, it's still alright. I like it. I go back to it as much as any of these other titles that I put in B tier. Yeah, solid B tier. Yeah, solid B tier. Okay, Sonic 4 Episode 1, D tier. I'm gonna put it in D. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Oh my god, the physics are just they're not what Sonic 4 basically was it was supposed to play like the Genesis games in a way, but it doesn't. The physics are just so weird. Whenever you try to roll down a hill, you stop in the middle of the roll on the hill. There's no momentum. And then he has the homing attack for some reason, even though it's a 2D game. The 2D games don't need the homing attack. It's so weird. It's just bad. I didn't enjoy it at all. I got mad as heck all the time whenever I was playing through this. I just don't like it. Okay, Sonic Colors. Okay. I'm actually gonna put this in A tier because this is also a title that I really enjoyed. I know a lot of people get mad whenever somebody calls this a 3D Sonic game. Because I know there's mostly just 2D sections in there all the time. All the time, I get it. But it was still fun for me for the most part. I had so much fun going back to this all the time when they released the remaster. They released Colors Ultimate. It was fun. I got a good amount of hours on here. There were some things that I didn't like about it. Obviously, of course, where they had like 6 acts instead of like just 2 or 3, or 6 levels instead of 2 or 3, and not all of them were hitters. Some of the music I don't really like in this game either, to be honest with you. The story is okay. It's pretty simple. But for the most part, this is a solid game to go back to every once in a while. I liked it. And yes, I will say I like this more than this. Yes, I will not hesitate to say that. So yeah, solid A tier game. Sonic Generations. I'm going to put that in S tier because they did a lot with this. Basically, all the modern Sonic stages played like Sonic Unleashed stages, the daytime ones, but just really good. But then there was also Classic Sonic, and he had a few good stages. Not all of them were hitters, though. But for the most part, I did like his stages as well. There are a couple stages that are kind of bad in here. I'm not gonna lie to you. Planet Wisp was not fun at all in Generations. Not fun at all. Supersonic, when you unlock him and he's playable, is kind of underwhelming. Whether you're playing as classic or modern Sonic. The story is kind of underwhelming. Doesn't really take full advantage of the fact that, you know, it's an anniversary title. And it's reflecting on Sonic's past. Yeah. But still, the gameplay to me is enough to where... The modern Sonic gameplay specifically is enough to where I feel like this is a solid S tier game. Sonic Generations on the 3DS. I can't... I've played this, but I can't say it's good. I want to say this is... also B tier, because, I mean, it's still fun. It plays the modern Sonic stages play exactly like Sonic Rush. And Classic Sonic, and the Classic Sonic stages in this one, they feel kind of the same as, like, almost exactly the same as how they felt in, like, the Genesis games. It was fine. It was fine for the most part. Not terrible, but at the same time not very great. Just kind of in the middle in terms of quality. I liked it, but it's nothing special. It also doesn't take advantage of the fact that it's celebrating Sonic's past. Because like many other people, I feel like this should have celebrated Sonic's handheld history, since this is the handheld version of Sonic Generations. But yeah, for the most part, you know, it's an okay game. Not something I feel like you need to waste your time on, but yeah. Sonic 4 Episode 2. I want to say this is also pretty D tier. Again, I really didn't like this one either. Oh, I tried to at first when I made the video, but my god, I just didn't. I got so angry at some of the bosses, some of the stages. Oh my lord, it just wasn't fun, man. Ugh. Hated it. Hated it so much. God. Oh yeah, the special stages in both of these suck as well, by the way. Well, not really Sonic 2. They're just a half pipe again, but they're alright. But Sonic 4 Episode 1's cases, special stages suck. I didn't like them. Sonic Jump was a mobile game, basically. And where, you know, you're basically just trying to make him jump on platforms and go as high as you can, basically. It's one of those games. But, yeah, I did play it. It was alright. Nothing really to write home about. No, yeah, I think I'm just gonna put Sonic Jump in C tier. It's not something I would really go back. It's not something I would really go back to, but it's not bad. It's fine. It's alright for the most part. What's next? Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed. Okay. This one I'm gonna say is A tier. Because it's a lot better than what the first All-Stars Racing offered in terms of like fun, really. Basically in Racing Transform, for those that don't know, it plays like a kart racer, you know, standard kart racer. Then as you're going through the racetracks, the vehicles start transforming into either boats or planes because it's terrain. The terrain keeps changing. You could all of a sudden be in lakes. You could all of a sudden be in the air flying. It's really cool. It's really cool. I really like it. I'm actually currently playing this on a PlayStation Vita actually, and that's actually a lot of fun to carry around with me to play every once in a while. But yeah, I think this is a solid A-tier racing game. It's not giving it's not giving Mario Kart any run for its money, but still, very solid racing game. Some of the things that's holding it back for me though to put it in S rank is just like some of the challenges kind of annoy me for this game, and some of the character picks were dumb to me, like Wreck-It Ralph. I feel like that was literally just because of Disney when they had Sonic be in the movie, and that's why Ralph was in the game, and you know, Danica Patrick and all that other stuff. But yeah, for the most part, solid A-tier racing game. Next one is Sonic Dash. I'm gonna say this is an A-tier mobile game. As a mobile game, okay? As a mobile game, it's A-tier, okay? Because, again, this is basically a Temple Run clone, but for the most part, it's really fun. I still have it on my phone to this day. I go back to it every chance I get, really. Yeah, it's solid mobile game, honestly. Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. I'm gonna say this one is also a solid B-tier game. I played it. It plays kind of... In other words, some people describe it as playing like a Metroidvania in a way. And I did enjoy it for the most part. It's kind of like my feelings for Generations 3DS. Nothing too great, but at the same time, nothing bad, honestly. I think this one's alright. It was fun. It was fun for what it was, but it's nothing mind-blowing. It's something you need to go out of your way to play. Sonic Mania. S tier. Oh, I love Mania. When I first got Mania, it was on the Switch. I put over 60 hours into this game alone. I loved it that freaking much. It was the celebration of 2D Sonic. They brought so many classic levels back and improved upon them in so many ways. The music was great. The original zones that they did put in this game were just so much fun. But this game is a bit alienating because there's so many callbacks to the past that so many newcomers are not going to get. So I feel like that for newcomers, it can diminish the experience a bit if you haven't already, if you're not already a Sonic fan, and you miss out on the callbacks. And a lot of the callbacks are what make this game really fun for me as well. But as a 2D platformer itself, it's still like so much fun. It's so much fun to go back to this. I still have it on my computer to this day. Oh man, I really love it. I really love it. Almost as much as I really love Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Sonic Forces. Okay. C tier. Okay, the reason for that is because I don't think it's the worst Sonic game ever. I think people exaggerate when they say it's that bad. I mean, I would play this over 06, just to be clear. I mean, some of Modern Sonic stages were alright. The Avatar stages were fine as well. It was mainly classic Sonic that was like really bad in Forces, in my opinion. The physics just felt wrong. He had the drop dash, but it didn't really help much with how classic Sonic played in Forces. And then, I mean, it's okay. Sonic Forces is okay in my opinion. It's meh. It's a very meh game. Kind of like a lot of these games on this tier list. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's the worst game of all time like some people do. I think it's a solid C tier at best. Sonic Forces Speed Battle. Okay. I'm gonna say this is also a C tier mobile game. Basically what this was, it's kind of like Sonic Dash, but you're competing against other players, and it's more like a race instead of like an endless runner. You get powers and stuff. I guess it's kind of like a mobile game version of what Sonic R was. If I really think about it, it's like putting Sonic R and Sonic Dash together into a mobile game, a mobile game kart racer, basically. If that makes any sense. Because, like, you have your items to shoot at people, to put in people's way, like obstacles and stuff. I mean, I like this one. It was alright. I didn't go back to it much, though. You know, it's an okay mobile game. It's an okay mobile game. What's next? Team Sonic Racing. Okay. I'm gonna put this in B tier as well, along with Sonic and Sega All Stars Racing, because like, this was a solid racing game to me as well. I did enjoy it for the most part, but it is kind of just, but it does do a lot that kind of makes it a lot less fun than what Racing Transform was. You don't even transform the cars in this game, as far as I know. The team mechanic, basically, Team Sonic Racing has its where, you know, it's team-based racing. So like, there's a bunch of team mechanics. You can like give each other boosts. You can give each other items and stuff. But it's a bit gimmicky with that, and plus, every time you do a team action with your teammates, it fills up a boost meter. And once you fill that all the way up, you get like a massive boost for your whole team. And it's really easy to grind out that boost bar by just like exchanging items to each other over and over. Like, it's a solid racing game, but like it's something better than this. And again, nothing giving Mario Kart a run for its money. Final game we have is Sonic Frontiers. In my opinion, another solid S tier Sonic game, in my opinion. When I first did that first playthrough of the game on stream, I did have a lot of fun with it. There were some parts of it that frustrated me, but for the most part, I just really loved it. The combat was, in my opinion, a lot more fun than Unleashed combat with the Werehog, because again, the enemy variety was there. There were so many different types of enemies you could fight. Exploring the islands is fun. It's still fun to just explore the islands itself. Like, let me show you my Steam page. Like, look, 66 hours. Okay, that's a lot of that. A lot of that was just running around the islands. That's how much fun it was to me. I even have all the achievements and stuff. I usually never go achievement hunting in a Sonic game. All right, that's how you know I'm not even joking. But yeah, the characters were great. The writing, getting Ian, I think it was Ian Flynn. Yeah, Ian Flynn to write the story was just a really good idea. The characterization was there. Voice acting was a lot better than we ever heard out of a Sonic game in quite a while, in my opinion. The cyberspace levels, those are not the worst part of the game for me, like most people say. I meant some of them are pretty bad, but for the most part, most of them are either good or alright. So the cyberspace stages are just fine, in my opinion. The worst part of the game for me was pretty much that pinball minigame at like the near end of like the third island. I hate that so freaking much. I hate that so much. Hate it. It's so stupid. Oh yeah, the supersonic boss fights. Oh my lord, the supersonic boss fights. I have to agree, they're some of the best supersonic fights that we've gotten in the series. Period. Supreme was probably my least favorite one. He was basically like a lesser Gigantos. Number three is Gigantos. He was a cool first boss, but he is pretty simple. But he was a great first boss, like a great introduction to how these supersonic boss fights are gonna play. Wyvern, the second boss. I mean, pretty much after you figure out you just have to parry his missiles, he becomes pretty easy. But it was still fun actually chasing him. I know in my video on the second island when I first played it, I did get kind of frustrated with Wyvern, but that's because I didn't figure out that I was supposed to just parry twice in like the second phase. That's kind of a user error. Honestly, that's not really a fault on the game. That's kind of my fault. That's kind of my own fault. But yeah, he was fun too. Knight, Titan number 3 was the most fun for me. He had the most stuff going for him. You could ride his shield and ram it right into him. You could, in the second phase where he's throwing the shield like he's Captain America, you could parry the shield and and swat it back towards him. It's really fun. Really fun. Um, the secret final boss, I didn't get to play that boss in like my initial playthrough on my channel because I didn't have the game on hard mode. But when I did do another playthrough on it on my own time on hard mode and played that secret final boss, I'll admit, yeah, just like everyone else has, it's very underwhelming. It's basically just Galaga. I mean, it's alright, but it's nothing special. Yeah. And it lasts for way too long too, in my opinion. Okay. The music, I really do love most of the music in this game. I'll admit the boss themes, like everyone else says, those are my favorite. Like, that's to be expected. But, some of the cyberspace, soundtracks are pretty fun to listen to as well. Most of the soundtrack is pretty good. I do love this I do love the recent update they've done with the game by adding a boss rush and a cyberspace challenge rush. And then also the inclusion of the jukebox where you can pick other Sonic Sonic songs from the other games and listen to it while you explore it, while you just run around the islands. I like that they did that. I really do. What else could I say? This was just a this was just a game I'm glad did really well, because the second I did hear that this was going to be a free roam Sonic game all the way back in like 2020, I was excited, but then also worried because, like, again, before Frontiers came out, Sega had not been the greatest to us when it came to mainline Sonic games. There was Lost World that wasn't very good to most people. There was Forces, again, that wasn't good to people. There was Mania, but Mania wasn't really enough to carry out all the bad stuff that happened throughout almost the entire last decade of Sonic games that have come out. Yeah, just a lot of either bad stuff or mediocre stuff. Yeah. But I'm glad this game did really well. I loved it very much. But yeah, this is my Sonic game. This is my tier list of every single Sonic game that I have played. Yeah, I feel confident about this tier list. I think it's okay. I think I did a solid job. That is my Sonic games tier list. And with that, I will see y'all in the next one.